In this episode, I talk with Zach about his YouTube journey, the importance of thumbnails, and about short form content on YouTube. Welcome to the second episode of Creator Talk. I'm Lewis from the travel channel LewisJJC, and I'm talking about my monetization journey here on YouTube. And today I'm joined by Zach. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So my name is Zach. I'm a tech YouTuber and brand strategist. So thanks for having me on the show.
Awesome, very nice, thank you. So let's jump into some questions. Do you do YouTube full-time? Is it part-time or a hobby?
So for me, YouTube was basically an extension of my passions. I came from a background of doing fitness on YouTube and then also doing vlogging after that. But tech was something that I always was passionate about in terms of I'm a nerd. So my channel is called Minimal Nerd. It started with the idea of creating really good content when it comes to, tech reviews that are a bit more straightforward. So I would say now that it's becoming more full-time, but it didn't start that way. So it started more like, this is what I'm passionate about. I like to talk about these kind of topics, and I just wanted to create good quality content. So yeah.
Right, and we're in your little studio now.
Yeah.
We spent the morning recording a podcast for your new podcast series. Why did you decide to start a podcast series when you've been working on YouTube for a while?
So yeah, the podcast idea came because of the group that I created like almost 2 years ago, which is the Vietnam content creator. Lewis is also part of that group, and we had a meetup recently where we talked about the YouTube life, the strategies that people use, and different kind of like concept of content creation from different kind of creators. So after the meetup, actually, I talked to my friend and we had a good discussion about the diversity when it comes to content creation, especially on YouTube and maybe TikTok and other video platforms. So that's the start of the idea of creating a podcast to talk about the life of content creators and what kind of struggles they deal with, the kind of like technical aspect of content creation that maybe a lot of people are not familiar with, as well as the part of YouTube or the part of TikTok or any platform that maybe a lot of people should be aware of. So it's called That Content Creator Life. It basically discusses the process of content creation and helping people start on these platforms.
No, that's really interesting. If you want to find out some of the answers to those questions, you can check out Zach's podcast. I'll be a guest in a few weeks. I'll leave all of the links for Zach's socials and channels in the description below. So cool. So we just spent the morning doing your podcast, and we're shooting this video for Creator Talk now. We've got lights, a couple of cameras, lots of wires around. But for your podcast, we could just sit there, just have two microphones running and talk, just like friends. How do you like recording podcasts versus shooting videos where you have to think about lighting and everything like this?
Yeah,
just for them to see what you look like.
It's very interesting for me, especially because the podcast is so far audio only. And in terms of the setup and the process of it, it's much easier than making a YouTube tech video. So I've been enjoying that process because I can actually stay on track with the schedule I have with my guests. So like, for example, this week has been crazy. I had like 10 guests in 1 week. And so just like we schedule the call, or if they come here in person and we do it, and then I finish the audio, the recording, and then I do some quick editing for the beginning and the end. I do my intro, which already is baked, and that's it. It's done. I can upload. I wish YouTube or tech YouTube was like that. Generally it takes me like 2 days average to make a tech video, especially because I involve a lot of B-roll, a lot of like. So the scripting part for me is the part that now takes most of the time, because it's the content. So the script is the actual content, and everything around the script, the filming, the B-roll, the editing, is kind of like a complementary to that. So in my process, taking 2 days to film, it's not easy. It takes, especially with a one-man band or one-man show. So the podcast was really interesting because I could just do it as fast as I could, and it's interesting that I can make 10 podcasts 10 podcast episodes in 1 week, and I could never do that with YouTube, even if I had a team of people.
Are you prepared to talk about any money, side of it for, AdSense? I know you.
So I've just been monetized maybe like 4 weeks ago, and I'm making few $100 from it, but I'm still actually waiting for my PIN letter from AdSense, which takes a long time to arrive, especially with the logistics in Vietnam. I'm crossing my fingers to get it. And so if people are not aware about AdSense, so you basically can actually see the money coming in, but until you approve your address, you cannot add a way to get that money, like a bank account to cash out. So but I'm glad I'm actually monetized, because for me that was not like the reason I started YouTube. But like I was talking to Lewis in our conversation before, it's something that makes YouTube content creation a bit more interesting, in the sense of like, it's actually making money, and then it's moving the wheel to the, in that sense. Like I can see things working this way, and it's not anymore a question of whether you can make money, but it's happening, and then how can I scale that, or make it bigger. But that was never the purpose of starting a YouTube channel, because even if I was not monetized, I would still try to make good quality tech videos.
Yeah, and it's good, I think, the way that you do it, and to focus on production and the love of creating content. Then if or when you get monetized, it's the bonus, and it's the the proof of concept, and to get some kind of recognition of your work. I think it's important to do it that way, as opposed to day one, you start your channel because you want to be earning $1,000 a month, as soon as it's going to be harder to keep up that motivation and stuff, right? So,
and just to be clear for people wondering about this, I mean, AdSense is not really a very good way to monetize on YouTube, just to be clear, because you can get like 100,000 views, but that would only translate to a few $100. And people have maybe a distorted idea about AdSense in terms of like 1 million views means $1 million. No, that's not.
That would be nice.
Yeah. That's not how it works. So AdSense for me was never was never the focus of my energy, in terms of like, I want to get that money. It was always like, I got money. I even couldn't respond to like YouTube as fast as they wanted, in terms of like they send you an email to confirm your identity and stuff. I was like taking it casually, like not really, focus on it. But it's a nice thing to have. It's like an extra. The other thing I'm doing is like, so far I'm getting like sponsor products sent to me. It was really nice to have that, because especially in tech, you guys are familiar with this. It's very expensive. If you want to start a channel about anything, you could manage to buy some stuff, but when it comes to tech, YouTube, things can get expensive fast. We're talking MacBooks, iPhones, we're talking like PC setups, monitors.
And weekly.
Yeah, exactly. And every time you have to come up with new content and new products to review. So having sponsored, so for me, here's the funny thing, like having sponsored was more important for me personally than AdSense. Yeah. Especially because of the part of like getting the product review. So I was never worried about making money per se from YouTube, because I have my freelance job, or I do other stuff on the side to have my income. So YouTube is not feeding me, just to be clear. But so for me was how can I get the products? Because that was my biggest kind of question or hurdle in my mind. That so I want to become a tech YouTuber. I want to create content about tech, but how can I get it? Of course, I can buy some stuff, and I did buy some stuff just for YouTube. But of course, it's one of those discussions with yourself. It's like, am I actually buying this for YouTube, or am I for myself? And we sometimes, especially if you're a nerd like me, you can make an excuse for why you should buy it. But I stopped doing that, in the sense of like, whatever I'm reviewing now, it's either rental. So I use a rental service here in Saigon, which is interesting because some of my friends in the UK and also in the States, they don't have services like that, where you can rent like MacBooks, you can rent iMacs and just for a few days and then you send it back. So that was very helpful for me in terms of my tech channel, and also getting some other sponsor products sent to me. And for me, that was the big deal, that since I figured how to do it, it's been much, not easier, but just much more seamless in the sense of like what kind of videos I make and how to make them, because that for me was the big issue at the beginning.
So I know for you that you have a background in graphic design, you do that for freelance work. How important do you think it is for YouTube videos and having good thumbnails?
I think it's very important, and I just talked to Wes yesterday. Wes Jackson, he was a brand strategist, but now he has a company about digital marketing, and he's still talking about brand and personal brand. And we had a discussion about this in terms of like, I feel it's kind of like an unfair advantage when it comes to graphic designers starting on YouTube. I mean, so I'm using those skills, don't get me wrong, especially in my videos, animation and stuff like that. But I still believe the content comes first. And one of the mistakes when I started YouTube, I was too much focused on the production quality. Like I wanted it to be like perfect, top notch, animation, almost like film quality in terms of the lighting, everything. But sometimes that can also be overcomplicating things in terms of starting your YouTube journey. So yeah, as a graphic designer, I can make good thumbnails. I know that because it's not because I'm just saying my stuff is good. It's because I bring my skills from graphic design to making thumbnails and, you know, color theory, contrast, the fonts, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, that helps a lot. To go back to your question, it helps to be a graphic designer when it comes to thumbnails.
Okay, yeah, in your graphic design experience, if you had a couple of quick tips, for example, if I ask, how can I improve my thumbnails? Would you have any super simple but key things?
So what I can say in terms of making thumbnails engaging and clickable, first you have to understand that people only have 1 second or less of decision-making time. So basically when you see the homepage and you want to click on somebody, it's like those 1 or 2 seconds is what you get from them in terms of the audience time you have. So what makes somebody click on a video, that's a different kind of science in terms of psychology and what people perceive attractive. What the thumbnail should look like is, it depends on your videos and what kind of like subject matter you're trying to cover. What you want to do is a hook in the thumbnail, and the hook could be a question, could be 3 words, 2 words. I try to keep it between 2 and 3 words, and in big font. And you have to give them some kind of like hook, which basically could be a question, could be something about, you know, like if you show them your like normal face and this is what I'm gonna offer you, some people will click on that, it's fine, right? But if you want more people to like be interested in it, so that's the marketing part of it, you really want them to ask the question, what happened? I want to know. And the only way to know, you have to click on it. So you can have the best video in the world, but if nobody's clicking on it on YouTube, you will not be discovered. So my advice for thumbnails would be, just to wrap it up, 3 things that you should focus on. First is the contrast. Number 2, maybe something that I didn't mention in detail, but at least 3 main things, and make them bigger. Big, not small. Make them bigger. Your face should be at least the height of the thumbnail. And at least 3 things, or 2 minimum, which is you, the title, if you want to put it there, and the product, or the, I don't know, for vlogging and travel, maybe food, like could be like pho bowl or something big, as big as your face, and also the contrast. And the third thing is try to put the hook in the video and in the thumbnail, and don't repeat the title in the thumbnail. So yeah, those are the things that I can come up with.
One more question I have, because I've been following your tech channel and you recently just hit over the 1K subs. I've noticed that along with your long form tech reviews and product stuff that you've been doing a lot with YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about why you spend time to create that kind of very short form content, how it's helped or not helped your channel, and whether you'll continue?
It's interesting. So for me, like when I started my tech YouTube channel, I didn't have any shorts on the channel because I felt there were, as a graphic designer, as somebody who was kind of coming from this idea of like brand and having things look nice. Shorts were not something that I wanted to do because of I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but if you look at the shorts in the main view of the channel, it looks ugly for me.
With no thumbnail?
With no thumbnails, yeah. So it's like I'm spending this much time to organize, and I have playlists. This is Mac, this is Hackintosh, this is Android, and everything is nice and organized. But then the shorts are there, like with random, parts of the video, and for me as a designer, it was not for me. But having another channel like we discussed before about gaming, so I have a gaming channel that's just a hobby, and I've been posting shorts on that channel, and they've been really going well, and they got me a lot of subscribers on the gaming channel without even trying to get them. So I was like, wow, shorts actually work. And one time I was listening to Think Media podcast, so shout out to Sean Cannell. I think you all familiar with him. He had Chris Do, which is also another guy or another designer I look up to from the Future channel. They talk about business, and they talk about the business of design and freelancing, all this kind of stuff that has to do with graphic design and creatives. And Chris Do, in this podcast, he talked about how one short got 24 million views, and the short was actually part of one of his main conference videos, and the conference video was like getting few thousand views, which is way low for his size. He just took one part of it and made it into a short. It was the short was about like how to price your project as a designer. Should you go with with fixed based price, or you should go with hourly rate? And doing that short gave them 24 million views. Now it's going even to almost 40 or something. And he said that he didn't want to release the short, but he just went with it, and his channel grew like exponentially because the short brought other audience, other kind of people and audience to his main channel, and it was a cycle. So when I heard that that night, so it was like almost 9 p.m. here in Vietnam, around 10 p.m. I was like, maybe I should make a short for my video. And it was a good time for me to make that short because it was about the new MacBook Pro. So the new MacBook Pro came with a notch on the top, which is something I covered in my previous videos on the channel, but it was just a normal video, right? So I made a video about the response of the mouse cursor with the notch. Just like it was actually a question short. Basically, can you guys guess how will the cursor behave around the notch? I posted the video, so it was nighttime. I posted around 11 p.m. It just took me like few minutes to make the video. That's the thing about shorts, it's so easy to make. I woke up the next morning and I see 40,000 views. And then like after that, it was like 100,000 views in the same day. And in 3 days, it went to 150,000 views, which is unheard of in my channel or in the kind of things I do, especially in that short time. And so that's how I actually quickly got monetized and boosted my subscription numbers. So I mean, in the sense of making videos and creating content, these kind of things are not reliable, just to be clear. But I do feel shorts, if you can find a way to implement them, they can be really a boost for your main channel. So you might be reluctant to make shorts. Just think about it in the sense of like, it doesn't take a lot of effort to make, and you should never spend more time on the shorts that you do on the main video. At least that's what I think. Unless you want to have a short channel. like if you want to dedicate, that's what a lot of creators do, by the way. They have a separate channel just for shorts. So try to have shorts that are engaging, interesting ideas. For me, it worked because it was timely. So the timing was interesting. It was the release of the MacBook Pro, and I not answered, but it was about a question that people had, which is nobody knew at the time. So now if I make the same short, it would not do the same numbers, because at that time when it was just released, nobody had hands-on, with Apple products, nobody can access them. So nobody knew how the cursor will behave. And it was a question around the community. Like, the idea came to me from Reddit. I'm active on the Reddit community, and I saw people asking about this. I'm like, yeah, let's make a video about it. So it was time, the trendy, thing, and also asking or answering good questions.
So the last couple of questions as we wrap up. If you have any advice for new creators and about your journey, any mistakes that you made or things that you might have done differently.
Yeah, sure. So if you want to start on YouTube, just first be very realistic with your goals and start from the passion side of it, not just the monetary goals that you might have. You can make money from YouTube. There are many ways you can make money: sponsor deals, courses, AdSense is just a small portion of it. So be aware of that. And for starting, just start with what you have. I know, especially as a designer, it was difficult for me to kind of use this advice. People told me start with what you have, but I'm kind of like a perfectionist, and also coming from design and all this, I wanted my videos to be good, and it actually worked for me, just to be honest. My first video got like 20,000 views in maybe a few weeks, which was unheard of for like just a channel that just started. So there could be a balance between quality, like Marquez, for example. He spends a lot of time, for example, improving his videos and making them perfect, but that actually pays off in terms of the quality and people really enjoying his content. But at the same time, you want to have the idea of like, hey, this is as far as I can get it, in terms of I did my best and that's it, it's enough, let's push it to the public. And especially if you already kind of like finished the video and you're thinking about doing it again, or like there's some refinement that you're struggling with, always think in the sense of being very practical. But I want you to just start with the idea of, I have value to provide to the audience. So it could be value in terms of information that that people don't know. It could be about making content that really is helpful. So think about it in terms of the audience first, not me. Don't be selfish in the sense of like, I just want people to come and watch me. It's usually the other way around. And YouTube, actually, I mean, the people who work at YouTube, they recently talk about this, which is the algorithm actually try to find videos for the audience. And creators usually think about it the other way. They think that the algorithm is trying to find viewers for your video. It's not that way. It's the other way. YouTube puts the viewer, the audience first. As a creator, you're part of that pool of content, and they will try to give the right match of content to the viewers. So if your videos are not doing well, don't try to blame the algorithm or YouTube as a platform, like YouTube is gone or YouTube is over, it's not working anymore. That's not the real deal. The real deal is in making better content and improving along the time. Your first videos will suck, that's normal. Your first even 100 videos will be bad in the sense of the word, but try to improve. That's the idea. You're like I said, think about it, practice in public. So if you're comfortable with this idea of practicing in public, you're off to a very, very good start, because a lot of people are afraid to practice in public. And if you think about it this way, I mean, nothing can stop you. So just go ahead and create good content.
No, I think that's good advice. The sooner you start the journey, the sooner you can make your first mistakes and find your first successes as well.
Absolutely.
Better to start today than tomorrow. So we're going to wrap up there. So thanks very much to Zach for joining us. The links for all of his channels and his podcast will be down in the description. Go and show some love and subscribe to his channels too. So thanks very much for joining, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. And go create.
Go create, and see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.